The Turnpike Sports Book Report is brought to you by BorgataSports.com. Your favorite casino is now your favorite sportsbook. Available anywhere in New Jersey, BorgataSports.com. Sign up at BorgataSports.com using our promo code PIKE, that's P-I-K-E. Make your first wager of $20 or more and you'll get $100 in free bets. That's $100 in free bets when your first wager on Borgata Sports is $20 or more. Get into the action with BorgataSports.com. Must be 21 years or older and in New Jersey to place a bet. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And welcome to this week's edition of the Turnpike Sports Book Report, where we're going to go through the state and national reports for sports betting industry. We've got launches and licenses to talk about. We've got, we have over 15 states setting state records for handle in January. We're going to hit some of those in this week's report.
And I'm not sure if you're going to hit on it, but I just read the news that the USFL will be a bet on property in 15 states, at least.
Well, we are leading off with the USFL.
Oh, so, okay. All right. I called it, huh?
Yep.
All right.
So we're going to start off with the USFL here. Again, for everyone who hasn't heard the news, I think everybody in the betting industry has heard the news that the USFL issued a press release, or Fox, I should say, issued a press release stating that 15 states have already confirmed that they will have legal regulated betting on USFL games.
Great.
Now, they're going to increase the number of states that are going to be doing regulated betting on the games. But again, the initial roundup of states, there's 15 of them. And I have to admit, I've been looking at the USFL, and this is the first league that has started off with an eye toward betting.
I got to be honest with you. I'm excited to see at least the first week of the USFL. I mean, I grew up watching the Jersey Generals and the Philly Stars and things like that. But in terms of betting on them, I have absolutely no clue how I'm going to bet on these teams. I think I said a couple of weeks ago, I'm fascinated at how the sports books are going to put numbers on these things, because who knows what they have until you see the product. I mean, are there going to be preseason games so you can take a look at these games?
No, I think they're just starting. They're just starting
right
off.
They're just going to start right
the
up?
first game for them is April 16th.
Okay. All right.
I think the USFL, while openly is very upset with Major League Baseball, but I think with the lockout...
Why are they upset? I would think they'd be happy.
Openly. Okay. Privately, they're probably dancing for joy, because if the Major League Baseball doesn't come up with an agreement immediately, it looks like maybe the first day of baseball could be May 1st, May 2nd, and the USFL may have a couple of weeks all by itself to get some betting revenue going.
Well, look, I mean...
as well as ratings,
I'm excited because, with baseball not starting on time, I'm glad the USFL is there to take some of my attention away. Certainly there's basketball, there's hockey, there's a lot of things that you can watch. And, to hell with baseball if they're going to be like this on both sides. I mean, seriously, there are other things to watch.
Well, when the USFL first announced they were relaunching, I can't say they were launching, they're relaunching. This is what, the second incarnation of the USFL, third?
I don't know. There's been XFL, there's the
just
other...
the USFL.
And I know,
USFL.
there's been so many spring football leagues lately. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But I'm glad they're keeping the old teams. For me, it's nostalgia. I mean,
yeah.
Am I expecting to see great football? No. I'm
not for the
expecting
first
to see
couple of weeks.
The Philly Stars and the Generals and the Breakers and the Panthers and things like that. So I'm excited to see that. So.
Well, if you look at the way they structured everything, the USFL, when they first launched, one of the first things they did was do a deal with Sport Radar.
Sure.
Data.
I mean, look.
That immediately told me betting right there.
Yeah.
Also, if you look at their trademarks for the teams, the new ones, the new trademarks, all include betting. As services.
That's part of sports today.
5 of the 8 teams are in legal sports betting states.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
5 of the 8. And they are looking... I'm very curious to see what kind of bets are going to be offered. I took a look around at some of the states like New Jersey and Pennsylvania. They have not listed any type of betting for the USFL. As a matter of fact, at the time we're recording this, I looked through the New Jersey's approved sporting events list for betting. USFL is still not on there.
Oh, okay. Well,
so they're going to be issuing an update
I'm sure
of that list.
they're going to update
most
it,
of these
so,
things are.
Yeah.
I mean, we're looking at
Like I said, I mean, I think the sports books are really going to earn their money when they put some of the numbers on the spreads and the over-unders and the things like that, because I frankly don't know how they're going to do it, because I don't even think the teams have even practiced together yet. So I'm very curious to see the numbers when they come out.
And also with normal football, like the NFL
Normal
and college,
football?
I guess you can call it that. Well, the USFL is in one location. There's no home team advantage.
Sure.
And I'm curious to see how that affects the lines, because a lot of times you see odds makers looking at the home field advantage as well as just the individual players for the props and all that. But with no home field advantage, I mean, what do you do with
I mean, it's going to be interesting.
The opening lines. I mean,
it's going to be very interesting to say.
And also, I don't know if anyone. Well, I guess if you're familiar with the college players that got drafted, you could probably make educated guesses on the prop betting.
I don't know.
I just don't know. I just don't know anything
idea.
about how these offenses are going to look. I don't even know what kind of offenses they're going to be running.
It'll be fun to see. I know they have a podcast out now.
The USFL has its own podcast.
So, that might be helpful.
They actually are on like 10 or 12 episodes already now.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
They were doing it before the draft started.
I'm going to have to take a listen because, like I said, I don't know too much about these teams, how they're made up. I know the coaching staffs of the different teams, but I just don't know the players.
It looks like it's going to be a very fun league, at least at the beginning.
I hope so. I
hope it's successful, because the USFL was actually a really good spring football league.
It was very good. I mean, they had Hall of Famers in it.
Yep.
I mean, Jim Kelly and Doug Flutie played for Jersey Generals, and things like that. It was pretty good.
Well, they had the right way to make the league.
Reggie White played.
I hope they do something similar in terms of how they make the league this year too. I mean, they don't. I haven't seen too many big names, other than on the staffs, the coaching and the front office, in terms of players.
Well, we'll see.
It could be a fun league. You never know. But let's move on to some of the record numbers that we just talked about. Before we get to the New York numbers, New York is constantly setting records here and there, but Nevada reported both a total handle record for January, $1.11 billion January total handle.
Mm-hmm.
That's their fourth consecutive month of $1 billion or more handles. They're doing extremely well.
Yeah, I don't know. They're doing great.
They also had a mobile monthly handle record of $786.8 million.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the highest I've seen for mobile handle for Nevada. I mean, I'm talking about percentage-wise.
Sure.
That's the percentage of going to mobile versus traditional retail, whatever you want to call it, seems to be shifting more and more to the mobile side. And I'm wondering if that has a lot to do with the amount of visitors now coming back in.
Well, look, I think it's I'd be curious to see how they break down the handle in-play betting, because, look, I mean, when you're doing in-play betting, you're not running to a window. You're usually on your phone. So I'm curious to see how much of the handle is the in-play betting.
Well, I don't know if Nevada separates it out like that.
I don't know.
So, but that's
every state does it differently. So.
Well, other states that have set records in the month of January: New Hampshire monthly sports betting handle record of $99.5 million. They also set a record for online handle in January of $81.6 million.
And New Hampshire is all DraftKings.
It's
right?
all DraftKings.
It's all DraftKings.
And also revenue record of $8 million.
Oh, okay.
Virginia reported a record monthly handle of $485,544,000 in January. To date, Virginia is now over $3.7 billion in handle.
Wow.
They are closing in on that $4 billion mark very quickly.
Great.
Colorado, record monthly handle in January as well, $573,720,000 in January. Online handle of $567 million. That's a record, and also it was almost 99% of the total handle.
Boy, a lot of records in January.
I don't know why January is. I know it's Super Bowl betting that's adding to it.
Okay. Well, we had some great NFL games too.
Yes.
The great NFL
playoffs, all that
so,
stuff. Yeah,
that was a lot of fun. So,
one thing that did take a hit for Colorado was the table tennis market. I know you like the table tennis reporting.
Yeah. Well,
it fell to eighth place.
That's interesting. Usually it's fifth or sixth. I'm amazed that it's that high as a bet sport in Colorado. What's the other state? Oregon.
Oregon.
Yeah, they love their table tennis there, but it's usually fifth or sixth. Now it dropped to eighth. Huh?
$7.5 million handle. That was eighth.
It's still pretty good.
That's pretty damn good.
It's shocking for table tennis. I can't get into table tennis. I don't know.
They even had retail betting on table tennis. They had table tennis represented 1.3% of the total handle for the state. They had an online handle of $7.5 million, retail handle of about 12,000. So somebody was at the teller window doing it.
I've never been in a sports book in Colorado, and I'm curious to see if the retail sports books in Colorado actually show table tennis.
I don't know.
In the thing.
I actually have never looked.
The only time I saw table tennis, it was streaming. I forgot which sports book I was looking at it because I was just curious. I'm not interested in table tennis or anything like that, but I was trying to find out what the big deal was that everyone's betting on it, and I looked at it, and it was just a table with two people hitting the ball back and forth.
All table
you didn't
tennis
even see the players. You just saw the table. You just saw the ball. You just saw the table and the ball going across.
Well, I know for a while, Rush Street Interactive, their brands, Bet Rivers and Play Sugar House, were both showing it.
That might have been the place I saw it. So.
Yeah, because
I was actually streaming it on the online sports book. So
I remember I watched darts in Unibet.
Oh, yeah, darts. I saw darts one time. They just showed the board and the darts hitting it. Mind you, no players were even shown. They just showed the board. So,
well, let's talk New York. And I think when you're talking
Can we just say New York broke another record and just, move on?
I think when you talk New York, the operative word is billion.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Absolutely.
They were the fastest to $1 billion.
Sure.
The state was the fastest to $2 billion in handle.
Mm-hmm.
They actually had... In the last 2 weeks of February, and I did a little calculation here, because last week's Turnpike Sportsbook Report, we did not have a chance to talk about the New York sports betting numbers for that week. We had taped it a little too early before the announcement came out.
We were probably too sick of hearing about New York, too.
Probably.
Jeez.
The last 2 weeks in February, listen to these numbers. Over $700 million in handle.
Mm-hmm.
That's more than some states do
so
for an entire month.
So when was this? What was
the
this?
Last 2 weeks of February.
Of February.
This is New York State.
All right.
Over $700 million in handle in 2 weeks. Over $50 million in gross gaming revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Nearly $26 million in state taxes.
Wow.
In 2 weeks.
That's pretty good.
FanDuel became not only the leader in the state, they also are the first ones of the mobile operators in New York State to pass the $1 billion mark.
Wow.
In handle.
Interesting. Wow. When I think of New York, I always think of Caesars because they just constantly are advertising.
Well, Caesars had that early lead.
They had that early lead
because of the advertising blitz.
FanDuel always comes up from behind. I tell you that because in New Jersey it was DraftKings for a long time. Usually, mainly because they were the first mobile sports book to go live in New Jersey, and they were number one for a long time, and then FanDuel just overtook them.
Well, FanDuel is the example of first to market doesn't necessarily mean first in the market.
Yeah. So.
Because if you look at Caesars, and this is kind of indicative of possibly some brand recognition issues, too. Mm-hmm. Now, Caesars started off in New York with that huge welcome offer, $3,000 risk-free bet or match bet or whatever.
They still have that? Or?
That's gone.
That's gone, okay.
They went down to $1,500, and now the new offer is $1,100.
Oh, okay.
And if you look at the way Caesars operated in New York, the first couple of weeks, it was Caesars. And that was the advertising blitz.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had... sort of about the third or fourth week in January, moving into February, Caesars started dropping a little bit. Mm-hmm. The handle started going down. Then you see FanDuel and DraftKings starting to go up. And now, at the end of February, we do not even have Caesars as one of the top two.
Wow, interesting.
It's FanDuel, DraftKings, then Caesars. And it's kind of interesting that towards the end of February, when Caesars did their earnings call,
mm-hmm.
The CEO, Tom Reeg, said that they will not be advertising as much.
Well, yeah, I didn't think they could keep that up because, I mean, living in the New Jersey, New York area, I mean, they were everywhere. I mean, every hour you saw a television commercial. You go outside, you see billboards. I saw a bus with
bus wraps?
Caesars, the bus wraps. I mean, it was just incredible. So, yeah, I didn't think they could keep it up, but they had one hell of an ad campaign, though.
Well, I think Caesars is an example. You know how I just said FanDuel was an example of first to market doesn't necessarily mean first in market.
Mm-hmm.
I think Caesars is an example of a brand that may need the extra advertising push to keep it where it is.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, if you look at the numbers, Caesars went from 38% the third week in February market share to 19%.
Wow, interesting.
So, it's dropping. And
I have to take a look at FanDuel. They must have some really great promos to have them jump out like that.
I think it's all name recognition if you think about it, because there's a lot being said for the Caesars offer when it first came out. They dropped that offer. I think the offer may have been a little too over the top, but it got them to number one. Right?
Hey, it worked for them.
So it again, we'll keep an eye on that. But again, Caesars dropped from first to third over the course of 50 days, basically.
Yeah.
And, we'll just have to keep an eye on how they're progressing. Let's talk some launches here. Lakeside Hotel and Casino in Osceola, Iowa.
Oh, okay.
They have launched the first retail DRF sportsbook.
Okay. What's that mean?
Daily racing form.
Oh, okay. That's right. Okay.
They have DRF Bets, which is their online sports book. They now have a retail book in Iowa. That's I guess that's technically their second book if you want to count the online launch in Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
So they have.
I got to check out where Daily Racing Form Sportsbook. Well, I guess they're calling it DRF. So
DRFbets.com.
Yeah, I want to check what states they're in.
It's actually very, very interesting sportsbook the way it's set up because it's an offshoot of their DRF sports website.
Okay.
And the DRF Sports website, you want to see some information, take a look at that website.
All right.
That is a good website.
All right. I'll check out DRF Sportsbook.
Over in New York, we just talked about their numbers. The 8th of the 9 online sportsbooks launched in New York.
All right.
Resorts World Bet.
All right.
They're partnered with PointsBet for the platform.
Oh, okay, good. I like PointsBet.
So Resorts World Bet
So who's the last one yet to launch?
Ballybet.
Ballybet is yet to launch.
They will be launching in the next couple of months. No real hard deadline on when they're going to be launching. But again, it'll be sort of kind of interesting to see exactly what Ballybet does in the market, because a lot of the other books are actually starting to gain a little bit market share. And I don't know whether that's because of what we just talked about with Caesar slipping. Mm-hmm. Rush Street's still a solid 4 in the state.
All right.
So we'll see exactly what kind of damage Resorts World Bet does in the marketplace. Talking about some other licensing, Kindred, which is Unibet.
Okay. I like Unibet. I love Unibet because I love the way it's set out. You go to a Unibet Sportsbook online, and everything's right there for you. It's great. It's no, boxes and things and special offers and this and that and the other thing. You got the game, and you got the numbers laid out in front of you. I love the way it's laid out. And
also during the games,
very simple.
On some of the sports, during the games that are going on, if you click on the game, you get a graphical representation of the field.
Oh, okay.
Which actually shows ball movement and some other data points.
Perfectly on. I have no idea if they have that.
I've actually done that.
I bet on them, and I left and watched the game. So,
well, Kindred has obtained 9 of the 10 available limited event wagering operator licenses in Arizona.
Okay.
They're in partnership with the horse racetrack Turf Paradise. They're going to be opening retail books at Turf Paradise, Brookside 2, Charlie Sports Grill, Gallagher 16th, Gallagher's Baseline, Harold's, R.T. O'Sullivan, Boston's Bar and Midtown Tavern.
Okay.
So they're going to have 9 retail books throughout Arizona. I don't know if they're doing the Unibet brand. I would assume it's Unibet since that's their sports book.
Mm-hmm.
So we may see 9 more Unibet sports books coming into fruition here, or whatever you want to phrase it as in terms of launching sports books. You have over in the responsible gambling area, Entain Foundation. The Entain Foundation U.S. launched the second edition of its free Gamble Responsibly America app.
Okay.
It's March's Responsible Gambling Month.
Yes.
So it's one of those apps that it's free.
Okay.
And it will provide you with resources to help deal with problem gambling.
Good.
And they've actually added features in English, Spanish, Cantonese, and Mandarin Chinese.
Wow. Okay.
So they're expanding their reach.
That's great. No, they do good work. So good for them.
And you know, as the sports betting increases across the United States, expands, more of these apps like the Entain Foundation. The Entain Foundation app is great.
Yeah, no, it's great. They're doing great work, and it's certainly a welcome addition to the responsible gambling initiatives in this country. It's great.
And FanDuel has launched a new responsible gambling initiative. They're going to have TV spots with Craig Carton.
Oh, great.
As well as some other tools that are going to be added onto the website.
Good.
In terms of legislation, just a couple things to hit here before we get out for the weekend. Let's see. We have Senator Joe Addabbo.
Yes, he was on the show, last year before everything started with New York. I think he's one of the pioneers of New York mobile gaming, so good for Joe Addabbo.
He's already moving ahead to try and expand the gambling market
in
New York State. He's filed a online casino bill.
Great.
To expand to online casinos. Assemblyman Pretlow, at the end of the week here, actually introduced a bill to, I don't want to say expand, but do another round of licensing for more sports books.
Great.
And also there's something in the bill, and I have to take a look at the language a little bit more, and we can talk about this next week, where the 51% tax rate may go down.
Interesting.
As the years go on.
Let me tell you, I think it's great that New York will try for online casinos, because one of the things when you log in New Jersey anyway with the online sports books, they always have an online casino component to them, and it's a lot of them in New Jersey have a shared wallet, so I think it's great.
Well, we'll see exactly where that goes. I mean, New York is always looking at expanding their market.
Great.
I'm waiting to see what happens with the New York City casinos. The Manhattan casinos.
I think there are 3 licenses available in the New York metropolitan area. I think even New Jersey is now talking about a casino in the Meadowlands. So a lot of gambling expansion in the area.
A couple deaths of bills to report
on. All right.
South Dakota lawmakers killed the statewide mobile sports betting ballot measure proposal. Betting will remain restricted to Deadwood and tribal casinos. Mississippi killed all measures to legalize mobile sports wagering in the state.
All right.
Right now, only 2 of the 26 casinos in Mississippi allow on-site mobile sports wagering. Both are MGM properties.
Okay.
So I guess you can say BetMGM has a monopoly on mobile betting in the state.
Looks like it.
Virginia lawmakers formally killed a bill to permit betting on in-state college sports.
Okay.
So there will be no in-state college betting on in-state college sports teams.
Yeah, New Jersey has that.
Yes.
I mean, we can't bet on colleges or universities that are located within our state borders, and we can't, even if a non-New Jersey college or university is playing an academic, or not academic, but a collegiate event in the state, we can't bet on that collegiate event in the state. So,
and last topic for today is the DraftKings being fined $150,000 by the New Jersey Division of Gaming Enforcement for proxy betting.
Okay, yeah.
They had a bettor in Florida reportedly placing bets by having someone else in New Jersey go into his account, place the bets for him.
Yes.
And what happened was...
That is illegal.
This was happening over a couple of months.
Okay.
And what was going on was there was an indication from this account somebody was logging in Florida and then logging out.
Okay.
And then immediately after, there was a login of the same account in New Jersey.
Okay,
and bets being placed.
Yeah.
And this was a big bettor.
Okay.
So a VIP bettor, whatever you want to call him. And it was reported to the New Jersey Division of Gaming Enforcement, and a fine was issued for $150,000. DraftKings acknowledged it. They're going to start working on measures to not allow this in the future. So the system worked there.
Absolutely. Don't even try it. I mean, geolocation is so great nowadays, and the technology is so fantastic that I don't even know why people would even try betting out of state or try and get someone to bet in state, especially after you've logged in a different state and then the same account logs in, 1,000 miles away from where it was first logged in.
Yeah,
they know where you're logging in from.
So
don't even try it.
It doesn't even have to be 1,000 miles away. You're going to have that issue with.
Don't even try it.
Look at Louisiana. You could be in another parish.
Yeah,
and have that situation. I mean, you could be actually in your car driving from one parish to the next. If the one parish doesn't allow sports betting, you log in that parish, and then you log in again in the next parish as you're driving.
Yeah,
think about that. That's going to be an instance
don't even
where you're going to
try that.
That's a special instance.
The technology is so great nowadays. Don't even try it.
Don't try and climb the fence.
Don't even try it. Yep.
Well, that's it for this week's Turnpike Sports Book Report. Please keep those press releases and news stories coming in, info@turnpikesportsradio.com. If you've been following along on the television side, we've had more stories on the news ticker scrolling along the bottom of the screen, and also you will see a print version which has even more stories on our Turnpike Sports blog. Just go to turnpikesportsradio.com, click on the blog button, and you will see a print version of the weekly Turnpike Sports Book Report up there, probably about an hour or so after the book report issues.
And that'll do it for us this week. We'll see you next time on the Turnpike.